Mandukya Karika, Pranam Mantra. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Deva Bhadram Pashe Makshabhirya Jatra Sthirairangaye Stustuvagam Sastanuvihi Vishema Deva Hitam Yadayu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashava Swasti na Pusha Vishwaveda Swasti nastakshyo Arishtanemi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we have been discussing Mandukya Karika and we covered up to verse number 34. And those who have been listening to it know that the Karika, along with the Upanishads, has been discussing what is Brahman and how Brahman alone is the truth. And everything else that we see, whatever I see, I'm seeing my body, I'm feeling my mind, I'm experiencing this world. All these are mere appearances. It's not only that Brahman is the truth and everything else is like a mirage. Everything else, as far as those objects are concerned. So what Mandukya Karika is telling is that Brahman alone that is appearing as all this. See, there's slight confusion because of Buddhists in Vedanta. Those of you who are serious listeners, those who really want to understand Vedanta, I'll digress for a minute and make one particular idea clear. We are experiencing this world. Now, Vedanta doesn't question that. What Vedanta says, the world that we are seeing says it's mithya. As world, it is mithya. Please understand it. As world, it is mithya. As Brahman, it is truth. Problem with the Shunyavad, the Buddhists, and the many of their other schools, they have brought this confusion of Maya, where it means it doesn't exist. Actually, see what happens. Vedanta very often uses the example of snake and rope. It also uses the example of a mirage. So we somehow tend to believe that this world does not exist. But that is Shunyavad, that is Buddhist. Vedanta doesn't say. Here is this pen. According to Buddhists, in the ultimate reality, the pain does not exist. Shunya. When Vedanta says that the pain does not have ultimate existence, ultimate reality, what it means to say is that pain is very much there. It's not that pain is not there. Pain is very much there. This world is very much there. You are there, I am there. But we do not have the ultimate reality the way Brahman is real. See, dear listeners, even I myself, as a young monk, I had great difficulty understanding this thing. Because of the popularity of Shunyavad and because of the confusion created by lots of Vedantic monks, particularly of the Himalaya region. Trikal mein jagat nahi hai, famous. See, Vedanta doesn't say that this world does not exist. This world very much exists. Everything exists. But their existence is not as real as Brahman. For example, when we look at two objects, you go in the streets and you watch a car going, you also see a bus going. You know that car is different from the bus. As far as reality is concerned, the car is as real as the bus. Anyone who might have seen only bus in his or her life may wonder where from this car has come. And similarly, a person who has seen only car will wonder where from this bus has come. However, both bus and car are real. But when we are discussing Advaita, it's not that Brahman is real and this world is also real. It's not that Brahman is also real and this pen is also real. No, 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 no. For us, the ordinary people, this pen is real and Brahman is unreal. But for those who have reached the meditative state of meditation, non-duality, they know that Brahman alone exists. That Nam Roop, the name and form, that is false. Name and form, that is false. That is appearance. Appearance where? On the Brahman. It's like upadhi, superimposition. I am not very sure if I'm able to make this point clear. Many people who have been listening to uh, Vedanta talks here and there, they come to me with questions, and one can clearly feel the confusion that is there in their mind. Please understand this difference. When Vedanta says that the world is superimposed on Brahman, the way a snake gets superimposed on a rope, what it means to say that the world is very much real, but it is real as Brahman, not as an independent entity. I am holding this pen in my hand. My hand is real, this pen is also real, as far as this world is concerned. But when you make, say, ornament out of gold, ornament is mere appearance. Actually, it's gold. Or at least in that case, you might say that there's some technique, etc., has been added. But as far as Brahman is concerned, and this world is concerned, the world does not have an existence as far as real existence is concerned. This is where people get confused. As name and form, as Nam and Roop, they very much exist. There is no question to that. So people get confused. I don't know if you have this confusion, but because we get questions and we ourselves went through this confusion, so I am trying to explain. So Mr. Ram asks, what about dream? Dreams are very much true. Why not? In the dream state, they are very much true. But you're missing, Mr. Ram, you're missing the point. It's not about the mind state we are discussing. We are discussing Brahman, the supreme reality, pure consciousness, and the world. The importance is between Brahman and the world. The popular misconception amongst those who listen to Vedanta, partly brought in by the Vedantic monks who do not understand Vedanta, and partly pushed by the Buddhists, that this world does not exist. This world is a dream. This world is not dream. Come on, this world is very much real. People often make this mistake. Now, people have been talking about Aham Brahmasmi and the world is a dream. World is not a dream. World is very much real. However, it is not real in the sense that Brahman is real, because Brahman alone is the absolute ultimate real. Everything else that is there is mere name and form. What Vedanta says that name and form are unreal. Remove name and form, and you will see same Brahman. There's an actor. Remove his dress, remove the makeup that he has put on. It's the same actor. So please, we need to understand that through this waking state, dream state, and dreamless state, what Mandukya Upanishad was showing was ultimately it is the same truth appearing as many. Similarly, as far as this world is concerned, my existence, your existence is concerned, we are very much true. But we are true and real from the aspect of Brahman. Me, see, it's a very common sense. Even say me, Samarpanananda. There was a time when I was a kid, and then I became young adult. Now I am moving towards old age, and soon I will be in the cremation ground. My brother monks will be consigning me to flames. It will be the same Samarpanananda continuing. So there is one Samarpanananda who is continuing, and there is something which is continuously changing. The change is not real. See, apparently we say that change is the only reality in this world, but no. It's the permanence which is real. The change is apparent. Just like that, this world is apparent. I don't know if I'm trying, see, if I'm able to convey the idea, because this is a very, very, very popular confusion, and I hope I made it clear. It's not that this world is a dream. It is not that this world does not exist. This world very much exists. Nor is this world nor is this world a dream. And not even it is real. As Brahman, it is real. As a name and form, it is very much real. But as far as absolute reality is concerned, no. This pen is real as far as its name is concerned, its form is concerned, its utility is concerned. But it doesn't have an absolute reality. Absolute reality behind it and within it is Brahman. So, I hope I gave the idea. So, Shastramayananda ji is listening to our talks. So, Shastramayananda ji, could you please just say a few words if the idea is clear or if the idea was already clear to you? Yes, Mr. Devasis Das says, getting a hang of the idea. Yes. Believe me, dear listeners, and most people who study Vedanta, they make this mistake. Dr. Seema Rajkundwar, do not even go as image of Brahman. It's not image of Brahman, it is Brahman. It's not, see, the moment you're talking about image, see, what happens? Sometimes the great masters, like say, Swamiji, or even Shankaracharya, they use some imagery to make the idea clear. Now we are no more into imagery. We are discussing main Vedanta. So let us not go into all these imagery. Just try to understand. So, and please, for God's sake, do not bring in quotation from here and there. See, I'm not a very learned man. I do not know every quotation that you might be quoting. Just understand this much. Here is this pen, and this is my favorite example that makes the idea clear. For me, this pen is very much real because I use this pen for writing. Now, how real is this pen? How real is this pen? According to Shunyavad, this pen does not have ultimate reality. This makes us think that this is something like a dream that vanishes. This makes us think think that the pain does not exist in reality. But no, Vedanta doesn't say that. Vedanta will say that it is just a manifestation of Brahman. Manifestation, the key word is manifestation. So, what is real in this? Real is name and form, but name and form by themselves are false. Brahman alone is truth. So, is this pain real or false? That is what I say. As Brahman, it is real. And as pen, because it doesn't have an absolute reality, it is false. So, it is false and it is also true. That is why it is known as Maya. Maya means that. Maya means it is real. At the same time, it is unreal. Brahman is something which is always real. And a leak, absolute non existence, like son of a barren woman, it never exists. But this pen exists, at the same time, it doesn't exist. That is why it is Maya. So, okay, so Momita Kundu, she says, actor without makeup. Yes. Nectar of devotion. It is not easy to understand Maya. See, in Vedanta, if you understand Maya, you have understood Vedanta. Because Maya is the weak link in Vedanta. And that is why Dvaitins and Vishishta Dvaitins and other, they come and attack Maya. Because Maya is something that you need to understand. Maya is something that cannot be explained. It's so easy. I mean, once you understand, you will laugh at yours. Oh my God, it's so easy. Why I didn't understand? Let me go back. I'm sorry that yes, Dimple Anand, she says correctly, just like we are waves on the ocean. Problem is every time we are bringing an analogy, the problem with analogy is that when you try to convey something, instead of that thing, we get a completely different picture. For example, when you point this finger at the moon and try to point at the moon to a kid and try to say that it is moon, and the baby will be looking at the finger, and the baby will be thinking that this is moon. This exactly is our problem. Every time we use analogy, any analogy you bring, after all, it is an analogy. So we will always confuse. We will always get confused. So just try to be contemplative and try to understand what is being said. We are talking about reality. Reality means that which was in the past is in the present, will continue to be in the future. This is the only definition of reality. That which was in the past is in the present, will be in the future. This pen was not in the past. This pen will not be in the future, but it is there in the present. Do you say that this is not present? It is very much present. So it is real. Will it continue to be in future? No, it did. And was it there in the past? No, it was not. So that raises the question. There is something fishy about this existence. What is that fishy? This is where Vedanta says, as Brahman, it is real. As pen, it has no reality. Because reality means that which will continue to exist in the entire time frame and beyond time. So now the nectar of devotion, you are going beyond our topic. In case you want to know more than this, meet me sometime, okay? This is not the place where you come up with your problems, okay? No. Please, see, this is a very bad idea. Particularly Indians have this problem. They digress. We are discussing a subject, focus on the subject. Do not bring in your personal things here. So Shastra Mayanandaji, I wonder if he's there. So is the idea clear? When we talk about reality, just think there's a cow and there's a horse. Cow is real, horse is real. You go to the street, you see the bus is real and the car is real. From the standpoint of reality, the way reality is, both are real. The moment we bring in realities of Brahman and say this pen, Brahman is real, this pain is not real. Why? Because Brahman has become this too. Anyone who feels that the idea is clear, I will have to proceed from here. I cannot continue with this. Please listen to this talk again, and if you listen quite a few times, the idea will become clear. So Shastra Mahanji says it's clear. So I am not sure if it has been clear to him even before. And two things that I wanted to say, that because of Buddhists and because of some wrong teachings by the Vedantins, we think that, as somebody wrote, dream. This world is not a dream. This world is dream-like. That means it comes and it goes. That it comes and it goes shows that there is some kind of reality. That some kind of reality is Brahman. And that it goes away shows it is actually name and form. Name and form by themselves are not real. So, this world exists as far as my objective reality is concerned. This world exists as far as its transitoriness is concerned, its name and form is concerned, but it doesn't have the reality. For example, in Sankhya philosophy, Purush is real. That means consciousness is real. Prakriti is also real. Purush and Prakriti, consciousness and matter, both are real. Both will continue to be real forever. Say in Christianity, God is real and the soul is real. The soul is, the existence of soul is independent of God, and both are real. In Vedanta, world and Atman, world and Brahman, both of them are not real. Only Brahman is real. And yet the world appears. That's the beauty. That is Maya. So don't think that it doesn't exist. The way the son, the child of a barren woman, because the moment you say barren, it cannot have a child. It's over. Cold fire. No, you cannot have cold fire. It's either fire or it is cold. Oxymoron. At the same time, it is not real the way Purush and Prakriti are real. It's in between. So, if you just think a bit, I think the idea will be clear. Anyone else who can say that it's clear? Sulata Das, I'll request you not to use analogies and examples to understand a truth. To understand a truth, go deeper, understand the truth. To explain to others, you may use analogies. Don't use analogies for understanding. If you use analogies for understanding, you will get confused. This is a very serious problem with many of these sacred books, philosophy books, and many of the teachers. They use analogies to explain. No. Whenever you want to understand a truth, go at the heart of the truth. Understand it, then use analogies to explain to others. But to understand yourself, you need to go to the truth. Just know that Brahman alone exists. There is no second reality. World also doesn't have any reality. So I see world. Why? Because Brahman itself is appearing. So is there a real transformation? No, it's not. This transformation is appearance. Anyway, so now what happens if I know? So what? Now you know, you have heard everything, like when Swamiji was talking at Thousand Island Park, which is known as Inspired Talks. So There was one elderly gentleman. He used to listen to Swamiji devotedly, and after every talk, he would come and say, Swamiji, so actually you mean to say that we are Brahman? Supposing you know that you are Brahman, how does it matter with you? For example, those of you who have been to the Himalayas, you have seen the Himalayas, you appreciate it. So what? How is it relevant to you? Long ago, I was a young brahmachari. One senior monk had once asked me to write an article on a relevance of Sri Ramakrishna. And he had beautifully told me that, look, write an article from your personal standpoint. Like when people talk about the relevance of Sri Ramakrishna, it's like writing about the relevance of the Himalayas. When you write about the relevance of the Himalayas, you say that Himalayas, they're such huge mountains and rivers flow out of it. Ganga, Jamuna flow out of it. And it regulates the climate of Indian subcontinent. But as far as you are concerned, I mean, you may say that you are benefiting from those things, but how are you directly connected with it? No, you are not. When you go visit the Himalayas, you feel good. There it ends. You see a piece of art, you feel good. You listen to a good piece of music, you feel good about it. But how does it help you? There's a God sitting somewhere up there. So what? So now, dualistic religions will say, pray to those gods or that God, make him happy, and in return, he will give you something good. But here in Advaita Vedanta, we don't have any God. It's Brahman. Now, supposing you know that yes, Brahman alone is truth, consciousness alone is truth, how does it help you? How does it matter with you? Well, Advaita, and for that matter, every religion, mind it, is not only a matter of belief. I mean, some religions are a matter of belief, indeed, but they are not about feel good. They affect your very way of life. These dictate the philosophy of life. These mold your life. If you are a good Christian, might have heard those of you who have interacted with Christians, they would say that if you are a good Christian, then you don't lie, you don't do this, you don't do that. But what about if you are a good Muslim? There also they will say the same thing. They confuse somewhere in between, they confuse themselves somewhere between values and being religious. Religion is something entirely different. Values, the same kind of values are taught in every religion. So when you say being a good Christian, it means nothing. Maybe you might say that by being a good Christian, you believe in Lord, the Jesus, etc. But those who are true followers of religion, they'll say that the inner life gets enriched. What is that inner life? How you look at the world, how you look at yourself. It's not only about the values, it's not only about speaking the truth, etc. So Aninda Sundar is coming about Brahman alone exists, is about objectification of Brahman. If there is no mind, how can there be objectification of? You should see, look here, before you comment, you should listen to the entire talk. Should be jumping into it. How can Brahman be objectified? When only Brahman exists, objectification means subject and object. Mr. Aninda Sundar, if you are listening to me, when we say Brahman alone exists, how can there be objectification? Because for any objectification, you need another subject. When I say this pen exists, I am there, pen is there. You and I exist. In case of Brahman, where is that second one? That object, that Brahman will be objectified. This is the problem with now, not going deep into a subject. See, when we were young, we had picked up some beautiful words and we loved. And there's a slightly, one of those humorous stories. In earlier times, there was this custom that people were illiterate. So they used to go to some later writers and they would ask them to write later to somebody. And on the other side, there would be some persons who would read out those letters. So there was one villager, he had picked up a word in Bengali, katipaya, some of. So he wanted that word to be used in a letter. So the letter was written and he requested the writer that please insert that word katipaya, katipaya. So somehow that writer did not use that word. So when he came to the end, he said, just please write, আপনার কতিপয় বাবাকে প্রণাম. My pranams to some of your fathers. See, this is what happens when you pick up some word and you do not understand the implication, you jump into it. How can there be objectification? Who will objectify? We have discussed this many times. When Sri Ramakrishna was teaching Advaita to Swami Vivekananda, he said exactly the same thing. There are 10 pots where the sun is getting reflected. So there are 11 suns. You go on breaking one after another, and there is only one left. How many suns are there? 2. One up, one here. And then you break the last one. How many? Swami Vivekananda says 1. Sri Ramakrishna says, how can you say 1? Because there is no one to say. So Mr. Ananda Sundar, no, I don't mean any. I am a teacher. It's my job to explain idea. Do not jump simply because you think that it might be true. No. How can there be any objectification? Problem with us is every time we hear of new concepts, we try to pigeonhole that into our old concepts, and that is where the confusion begins. Sorry if I disappointed you, but we cannot talk about witness consciousness. What is witness consciousness? The moment you say witness consciousness, it is witnessing something. So that object becomes real. This is the problem. I'm sure it's not your word. You must have picked up from somewhere. The moment you say that it's a witness, essentially you mean to say it is witness to some object. So that means there are two realities. One is witness and there is witnessed. So instead of objectification, according to your word, you now made a subjectification of Brahman, which is not a Lord. I hope I'm clear. See, that's why Vedanta is very subtle. I learned Vedanta from Srimad Swami Mokshadanji Maharaj, and I used to talk something like this, all this that you talk, and invariably you would say that you have fallen in the pit hole of same duality. Even without our knowing, unconsciously, we fall in the pit. Sometimes unknowingly we make Brahman the object. But unfortunately, sometimes unknowingly we make Brahman the subject. Here we have one physics professor, he's a retired gentleman, and he is a wonderful person. He's devoted to learning and he used to attend all my classes when I used to teach. So one day I was explaining how Brahman or Atman is neither the subject nor the object. And he was horrified and he says, Swamiji, till now I thought that Atman is the eternal subject. What do you mean by eternal subject? The moment you say eternal subject, you say that either there is eternal object or non-eternal object. It's neither subject nor object. Well, I'm sorry, this is the maximum. So anyway, coming back to life philosophy, Advaita offers you life philosophy, as every other religion offers. What is that? So there are two. One is those who have realized Atman. For example, Sri Ramakrishna, he had realized Atman. So he has a way of life. And those who aspire to be Jnani, Those who aspire, they will imitate their ways. Now, the next verses, they elaborate what is the way of life of a jnani. Whether you have realized Atman or you have taken the highway, you are on way to attaining Atman. It is all same. Your way of life has to be the same. वीतराग भय क्रोधैर मुनिभिर वेद पार गए निर्विकल्पो ह्यम दृष्ट प्रपंचोपशमोद्वय. Excuse me. This is verse number 35. So the wise, that means the jnani, who are free from attachment, fear, anger, and are well versed in the Vedas, have realized Atman as devoid of all phantasm and free from the illusions of the manifold and as non-dual. That means there are certain conditions. You cannot be a Brahmagyani. You cannot be a Jnani just like that. If you go to the Himalayas, I've been in the Himalayas. I've been in the Himalayas many times and I've stayed there. And everyone is there in Jnani. But no, to be a Jnani, you need to have certain qualification. First, you must know Vedas. You must know Vedanta. You must have gone beyond the dualities of fear, anger, lust, etc. And they go beyond all Prabanj illusions. Now, Prabanj is a beautiful word in Vedanta. Prabanj means that which is tempting or that which is a disturbance. So Brahman alone is truth and Brahman cannot be a disturbance. The world of duality is a prapanch, it's a nuisance, it's a disturbance. So nuisance which has no right to be existing, that is prapanch. And because of this, prapanch has become such a popular term with the Vedantic monks. They use prapanch everywhere. Sansar prapanch hai. It's a favorite saying of the Vedantins. So this verse says, Muni, those who are constantly into contemplative mood, those who know the essence of the Vedas, those who understand Vedanta, and those who have gone beyond illusion of duality, mind it, illusion of duality. When you talk about, so as Aninda Sundar had pointed, witness, when you have to go beyond this subject object duality too. It's not only the duality of fear, fearlessness. It's not only the duality of overcoming the lust and lustfulness. No. Every kind of duality, existence, non existence, that is also duality. Subject object, that is duality. And all this is known as prapanch. Dvaita prapanch. Delusion. And that becomes a nuisance. So, says, it can be seen only in greatest of monks because they are not tied down to anything. That's why, Vedanta is slightly difficult to practice. Those who are still aspiring after name and fame, wealth, etc. Slightly difficult. However, as we shall see that this can be applied in practical life. And that is what Swami Vivekananda did. Tried to do, tried to teach. that the Vedanta, which is meant only for the greatest of monks, can be practiced even by a common man. As we proceed, we shall see. So it says, now only those who are argumentative people, those who are into intellectual gymnastics, those who are trying to grasp things intellectually, they can never understand Brahman. So Acharya Shankar makes it absolutely clear. If you really want to understand what is Brahman, if you really want to understand what is Maya, if you really want to get it in your life, you need to have certain qualities. First, you need to know the Vedas, the essence of the Vedas, Vedanta. Actually, Vedanta is the essence of the Vedas. And you must have been contemplative. You must be contemplative. And you must have gone beyond duality. You must have gone beyond lustfulness. By lust, we mean the desire to acquire anything that you wish to acquire, whatever that be, something to keep for yourself, be that name and fame, be that wealth, be that wife, be that child. No, this is not possible in the world. That's why it's slightly difficult. So those who are just into argumentation, those who are trying to push forward their philosophy of life, they really cannot understand Vedanta. This is what this verse says. So, since every kind of nuisance, every kind of disturbance gets destroyed by Advaita, as we mentioned in the previous talk, Shivam, it's all Shivam. So, tasmad evam viditvainam advaita yojiyet smritim. Advaitam sam anuprapya jadvat lokam acharet. The idea is the illumined sannyasins, that includes you people. Oh, sorry. Therefore, knowing Atman as such, fix your attention on non duality, and having realized non duality, behave in the world like an inert person. Tasmad evam viditvainam. Once you have understood, once you have realized Atman is the truth. Here, let me remind you, I just mentioned that there are two kinds of jnani. One who has realized the truth, one who has truly seen Brahman. How? When through contemplation his subject object duality vanished, then he doesn't see Brahman as object, he doesn't see Brahman as the subject, because there is no two. And then naturally his behavior will change. Once you know the reality of someone, your behavior towards that person or that object changes. Similarly, once you have known the ultimate truth about this world, your behavior will change. And what that change will be? Tasmadevam viditvainam advaite yojayet smritim, says, apply your mind to that. These greats, they behave like that, and we, the ordinary mortals, we have to practice them. Now, we cannot become jada in a day. Jada means inert, completely beyond praise and as well as infamy. Somebody abuses you, somebody praises you, you go beyond that. You get happiness, you get misery. You go beyond that. Now, can we go? No, we cannot. But if you keep the ideal alive, if you keep the ideal aflame, you will see that you will now be tied to a spring, as if. That means as in the case of a rubber string or springs. You get thrown out, but the spring pulls you back. The rubber string pulls you back. It pulls you back to stability. This is the beauty of those who believe in God. This is the beauty of those who believe in Advaita. You know that everything that comes your way is unreal. But because your mind has not yet reached the highest state, you are getting swayed by it. And you remind yourself that I suffer, I have not yet reached that stage. Once you actually see it, you'll go beyond it forever. It says that in your interaction with the world, there has to be a complete restraint. Just that when you are a practitioner, when you are a practicing jnani, you will have to apply the restraint. But when you are a jnani, this restraint will automatically be there. There have been lots of science fiction stories and science fiction novels. So long ago, I was reading a science fiction story in which some scientists had successfully developed robots who looked exactly like females. Now, there was this one female robot. It reached an office and applied for the job of the secretary, and the boss fell in love with that secretary. And it went on, and he would go on talking about emotions, and the robot was not able to understand. And lots of things happened. And then finally, one day, this boss came to know that actually this lady was a robot. And she was recording everything, not she, but the instruments within her were recording everything that he was saying and doing, etc., for the research by the scientists. And this gentleman, he was so horrified. He stopped talking. Then once the scientists realized that this fellow now knows what's the truth, they took that robot away. This is the thing. Once you realize that your loved object is not a person but a robot, what will be your reaction? It will change forever. When I was a young boy, so when I used to go to join my school, whenever the train passed, there was a temple-like structure, and I used to make pranams so that I passed the exams. And I had such devotion that if I ever failed to make pranams, I used to feel nervous that things will go wrong with me. After 2, 3 years, I found that it was not a temple but a mosque. So all my the devotion towards making pranam was over. This is the nature of reality. Once you know what is real, your behavior changes. Once you know that Brahman alone is truth, everything else changes. So how do you behave with the world? Nistute namaskaro niswadhakare vacha chalachal niketascha yatir yadrichiko bhavet. The illumined persons, they do not make pranams to any deity. They do not go by any rituals. And they do not have to offer pranams to anyone. That means they do not have to please others. They go beyond all rites and all rituals. Naturally. Because they know that the same Brahman everywhere. For example, Sri Ramakrishna, when he completed his sadhana, once he wanted to offer water as tarpan, say ritual for the Hindus, to his ancestors. But he found that his fingers got opened like this and water fell. He was told that, well, there is a description that once you reach that state, you cannot perform these rituals. It actually happens. But till you reach that state, don't do it. Tattvam adhyatmikam drishtva, tattvam drishtva tu bahyatah, tatvi bhutas tadharamas, tatvat prachyuto bhavet. Once you have known the truth, once you have known the reality, existing internally as well as externally. Brahman is outside, Brahman is inside. Brahman is not like God sitting up there. Brahman is pure consciousness. That is inside and that is outside. You become one with the reality. You become one with the reality. And he exalts in reality and never deviates from reality. Once you know what is reality, once you know that Atman alone is the reality, Brahman alone is the reality, and that you are one with it, you know that Brahman is outside, you know Brahman is inside, Brahman alone exists, then you don't fall prey to any illusion ever again. There are people who consider mind to be the Atman. There are people who think that mind is the ultimate reality. And so, when the mind is disturbed, they say, I am disturbed. When mind does not get its expectations, doesn't get the expected results, it becomes upset. We all become. Why? Because for us, mind is the ultimate reality. So, those who have realized Atman, they know that mind has no role to play. Because mind has no role to play, that is why there is no subject, no object. And because of this, he never identifies himself with a mind. So his mind never comes below a particular level. And what is that level? Atman. Now, once I was a witness to very interesting conversation. I was there, and then there was this conversation about I am sad, I am this, I am that. And there was a monk. He told that, brother, why do you see yourself as a person? Why don't you see yourself as Atman? Think of yourself as Atman, and these things will not touch you. I was moved. I was moved by that statement that you have to remind yourself all the time that you're Atman. Your outside is filled with, your outside is Atman, your inside is Atman. So don't you ever identified with the mind and with the working of mind. So with that ends the chapter. It's basically how a Brahmagyani behaves, how a Jnani behaves. Vaitatya Prakaran ends here. The next talk begins with Advaita Prakaran, where there will be discussion on different philosophies and how Advaita enters there and shows that no, Advaita is different from other philosophies. And there's a very interesting discussion, chapter 3. Thank you so much. Here we are.